Hi everyone. In the previous video, we have seen that how you can create tables in multiple ways and how you can insert your data in the table, in multiple ways. Now in this video, let's try to understand alter table statement. Now, when you see the different commands of SQL, we have, DDL, DML, DQL, TCL. Now in the DML, we have create, alter, drop and truncate. So in this video, let's try to talk about alter table statement. This is also really good topic for your exam purpose, for your MCQ exam purpose, or if you're going for an interview, or if you're going for the 1Z0 certification. Alter table statement, lot of questions I have personally seen in the 1Z0 certification exam from the alter table segment, right? So I'll go step by step. I'll not directly jump to the advanced concept. I'll go step by step. So why we use alter table statement? What is the reason for it? So you have the existing table. For example, you have the existing table employee underscore backup, and you want to do certain modification or certain changes in the table, or you want to alter the table. It can be anything. You can add a new column to the table, right? While creating a table, you have forgotten to add a column. So after creation of the table, after some time, you feel that, okay, I need to add one more column. So you can add a column. Other operations we'll talk about. I'll go step by step. So let us try to jump to the SQL developer and let us try to run this query. We have this query available over here. Alter table employee underscore backup, add phone number, and this is the data type. So first of all, we need to check whether this target table is available or not, right? So I can say select star from employee underscore backup. Let me just select this code and let me try to run this. So we have this table available with total 16 number of records. We have total 16 number of records, right? What I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to add a new column. So you need to remember the syntax, especially for the exam purpose. Sometimes people get confused with the syntax because there are a lot of keywords used in the alter table statement. Alter table, table name, you have to use a keyword called add, give the column name and give its data type, right? Select this particular piece of code and just simply run it. It says table employee underscore backup is altered, right? Let us do a query on this. So we have one more phone number added. That is your phone number, but you can see that the values are null. So whenever you add a new column, the values, the default values that will be inserted as null value. All right. So this is to add a column. The first segment, the first piece of code in the alter table statement. Now what is the second piece of code or the second way? Add multiple columns. Can we add multiple columns to the table? Of course we can add multiple columns to the table in one single go. Same query I'm gonna use, but I'm using two columns over here. Alter table, table name, add, I'm using an add keyword, and inside the bracket, I have these two columns. What is that? Address, and this is the data type, and we have a social number, and this is the data type, right? So this is how you can add multiple columns in a single go. Select this code and press Ctrl Enter. It says table and employee underscore backup is altered. You should be getting these messages. That means your code is getting successfully executed, right? Again, let me do a query on the target table. This is my target table on which I am performing an alter operation. So you can see that address column is also added, and you can also see that social number column, that particular column is also added, right? So this is the second operation with alter table statement. What can be the third operation with alter table statement? We can rename the column, right? We can rename the column. So let me copy the code, go to the SQL developer, and this is our third operation. Now in the previous operation you were using add keyword. In this operation you are using rename keyword, right? Alter table, table name, that is alter table employee underscore backup, rename column. You have to use a column keyword as well. Here we were adding a column, but we were not using column keyword, right? in the MCQ questions, people get confused sometimes whether I have to use the column keyword or not to use column keyword. So these things to be remembered for an certification exam perspective. Alter table, this table, rename column, and I have to change this from this column to this column. Right now I don't have emp underscore name column, I have rather ename column, right? So I can say ename to emp first name. I want to change to this column name. Let me just select the code and press Ctrl Enter. It says table employee underscore backup is altered, right? Let me again run the code and just check whether the column name has been changed or not. Yes, column name is changed. You can see that emp underscore first name, right? This is the third operation with alter table statement. Now what is the other operations that we can perform? We can modify a column. What do I mean by modification of a column? This is our fourth operation. Step by step we'll go. What is the fourth operation? The fourth operation is modification of a column. Now what modification you are doing? I am changing the size of the column, that is 150. Previously it was 50 or 100. Now if I want to change the size of the column, because if we are expecting a bigger name or something like that, so you can rename or you can change the size of the column. You can also change the constraint of the column. For example, while creation of the table, it was a normal column. It could have accepted null values. But now you're putting a constraint. You're putting a constraint called not null, right? You're putting a constraint, not null. That means this column will not accept null values anymore, right? So you can change the size of the column. You can change the data type of the column as well. From varchar to char, you can change. That's not a problem. You can change the constraint of the column, right? Let me select this code and let me run this. It says table employee underscore backup is altered, right? So let me select this and you can see that the extra spaces, the size of the column is changed, and now it is not null. You cannot insert any null value. Let us do a experiment. Now I have the insert statement. Let's do a cross verification. Let's do a cross verification whether these changes are working or not, right? So what we have done is we have made this first employee first name column as not null column, right? As not null column. So let me try to insert a null value. So first of all, let me do a select star on the table, select star from this particular table. I have this values and I have prepared an insert statement, and in the employee first name column I am just trying to insert a null value, right? So let me just simply give the employee name as 194, a unique value, and I am trying to insert a null value. So if you are inserting a null value, there is no need to use the inverted quote, otherwise it will take it as a string. If you are trying to insert a null value, don't put inverted quote, just simply without inverted quote put that value. Now let me try to run this statement. It says cannot insert null value null into this particular column. It is giving you the specified column as well, emp underscore first name, right? So in this column, particular null value is not accepted, is not inserted, because of you have changed the table, you have changed this particular constraint to this particular column, right? So it is always a good idea you do the changes, and please do the cross verifications. Please do the cross verification. If you don't do the cross verification, then you will not be double sure, right? So this is your fourth command with respect to alter table statement, that how you can modify a column. What are the other things that you can do with the alter table statement? We can drop the column, right? So it is also possible to drop a column. Then in that case, you have to use a drop keyword, and you have to use drop column keyword, right? Here we are not saying modify column and the column name, but here you have to say alter table, this table name, drop column and the particular column name, right? This is the syntax that you need to remember, right? So let me not drop the employee first name. We have been using this column. I can drop a column. For example, I can drop this column, right? Phone number column I can drop because we have added this column. So I can say drop column and the column name, and this will be our fifth statement with respect to alter table. Select the code and run the code. It says table employee underscore backup is altered. This table has been altered, right? Now what I can do is I can just simply select the query, or I can simply run the select query on this particular table and just cross verify whether the phone number wala column has been dropped or not. Yes, of course the phone number column has been dropped, right? So that's how it is. This is your fifth operation that you are performing with respect to drop column, right? Now, is it possible that we can drop a constraint as well? Yes, it is possible that you can drop a constraint. What is the query? Now, this is the sixth operation that I am performing with respect to alter table. I am saying alter table emp, drop constraint and constraint name. Right? What is this constraint? This is a foreign key constraint, right? How do you know? How can you check that on a particular table do we have a primary key constraint or do we have a foreign key constraint? How can we check? So what you need to do is simply go to this particular table and click in the navigation bar in your user. You can create your own user and you can create your table in this particular user. I'll tell you that how you can create your own user. This is also known as schema. How you can create your own schema, and then how can create your table inside your schema so that you will not lost. You can only see your created tables, right? So I can click on my EMP table and I can go to constraint. The moment you click on your EMP table, you will see lot of tabs, right? Lot of tabs. You can go to column tab. What are the columns we have? What is the data type of that column? Is it a nullable column, right? Do we have a default data if you don't insert any data? So you can see this nullable column. This is quite important, right? Nullable column. It says no, right? And the other columns are nullable column. But it is not the nullable column. It is a not null column. Why? Because this is a primary key, and primary key is always not null, unique, and it is not duplicate. It cannot have duplicate values, right? Now we have data. What is the data available in this table? You can check that. Now let me go to constraint. This is what is more important, right? pk underscore emp, right? pk underscore emp. This is the name of the constraint. This is a primary key constraint. fk underscore department number. This is a foreign key constraint, right? Who is the owner of the table, and every detail is given over here, right? When we have done the last changes, who is the index owner? What is index is a different status, but for time being right now, the important point to understand is we have a constraint, or we have a foreign key constraint with this name fk underscore dept number, right? Let me copy the constraint name. Let me go over here and I can simply paste that constraint name, the same constraint name that we have, fk underscore dept number. So I can say alter table emp, drop constraint and the constraint name. Select this code and it says employee, table employee is altered. Always do commit whenever you are changing with some table. So those are auto committed also, but for a confirmation perspective, always do commit. DDL statement, by the way, are auto committed, right? DML statement, for that you have to specifically commit, but it's always a good idea that whenever you do any changes, do a commit for a safety side, right? So if I go to my EMP table, now you can see that in the constraint we have employee, that constraint, the foreign key constraint, that constraint is not available right now. That means you have dropped that constraint. Since you have dropped that constraint, now there is no relationship between EMP table and department table. There is no parent-child relationship now. There is no integrity constraint now, right? So that's how you can drop the constraint as well. All right, this is the sixth operation that we have done. We can also modify more than one column in a single alter statement, right? So here we have modified the column, right? We have modified a single column. Is it possible to modify more than one column? Yes, of course, we can modify more than one column. I won't say it's the 7th statement. We have the modify statement over here. So here only in the 4th statement, I can do this. Alter table, change the name of the table because we are using this in the example, and I'm using modify keyword. So modify, and for example, I'm using this particular column, that is your employee underscore first name, and I'm modifying this column, right? So let me just have it as varchar 2, and I'm again resizing the column as 100, and I'm putting it as a not null. This is my first column. What is the other column that we have? We have address, right? So let me have that column, address, and this column we have to make it as varchar 2, and we are making it 200, right? And of course not null. So in that way, what you are doing is you are modifying 2 columns in one single go, even though you can modify more than 2 columns also, right, in a single go, but you have to put this in the bracket, put it in the bracket, and after the column you please put it in the comma. It's saying column to be modified to not null is already not null, right? So let me remove this statement. It is already not null, so that's not a problem. So I've removed that statement and run this. It says table employee underscore backup is already altered, right? So we have changed the size, right? Previously address was 50, I have made it to 200, and employee first name was 150, and we have made it 200, right? So that is how you can modify the column, or more than one column, or more than 2 columns in a single go. That's how you can modify it. We can also rename the existing column. We have seen this example that how we can rename the column. You have to use a rename keyword, right? Let me show you. Rename. So please remember the syntax is alter table, table name, rename column, this column to this column. All right. So a quick recap. Fatafat say a quick recap. What are the operations that we can done? Add a column, add multiple column, rename the column, modify the column, modification as in data type or constraint you can change, modify more than one column, and you can drop a column, and you can also drop a constraint. There are some other alter statement also where you can perform some other operations as well, but majorly these are the major ones which you should remember as far as your exams are concerned, right? Basically alter table statement is to alter the table or to change the table structure. If your table is already created and after certain point of time, if you feel that I need to change something in my table, then you can use alter table statement. I hope you understood the concept. Thanks for watching. Happy learning.